The opinions expressed in this program reflect only those of the participants and are not necessarily those of the sponsors, management, or staff of WTBQ Radio or FST Broadcasting Corporation.
WTBQ.
You gotta go to FlixPop Radio. FlixPop Radio.
Welcome, everyone, to FlixPop Radio, your source for the best movie talk here at WGHT, WTBQ, every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Behind the glass, FlixPop Radio producer Ryan Goose Agassiker. Goose, how are you today, my friends?
I'm doing well, Paul. How are you?
Excellent. Good to see you. I'm kind of taking it all in because, there's going to come a time real soon when I'm going to look up and you're not going to be there. And so I want to savor these last few minutes that we have with Ryan. I'm your host, Paul Bastante, and there's literally nowhere else in the world, and I mean the entire world, that I would rather be than right here, right now, with all of you in beautiful Warwick, New York. The number to call here is 845-651-1110. If you can't call us, text us at 845-328-0886, and we'll read your text on the air. You can also catch us across the country by visiting WTBQ.com and streaming us from there. That's right, Klint, you can actually have FlixPop Radio in your pocket for the next hour every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. We have a great show today. Planned live in the studio is General Manager of the Greenwood Lake Marina, Klint Green. We'll hear from Allison Lucan for the officially reviewed segment, as well as the Reality Rewind with Shelley Williams and the People's Podcast Report with none other than Santiago. We're also going to play the Spaziani's Catering and Food Design Trivia Contest, where you'll play the Movie Line Trivia game to win dinner and a movie. Date night, courtesy of FlixPop Radio. And dinner and a movie on date night can help you to, what? Get lucky, I think. What do you think, Klint?
I think that's definitely increases those chances.
Yeah, I think so too. And so you can say that FlixPop Radio does help you get lucky. So we're going to do all that. But first, I want to play a game. But before I do that, FlixPop Radio is brought to you by Officially Social, State Attorney Rebecca Eckert, Spaziani's Catering and Food Design, Cardinal Tours, Monica's Italian Restaurant, Dream Builders by Design, Cardinal Frame, and The Reset with Stephanie Shore podcast. So today, our guest on FlixPop Radio is the General Manager of Greenwood Lake Marina. He's somebody that in the summer and spring months I live vicariously through because the guy's got the coolest job that I've really ever seen. Klint Green, how are you today? Welcome to FlixPop Radio.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate the invite. And yes, spring is just maybe a month and a half away before we start putting some boats in the water.
It is like, I'm just busting it out of here. I really am. I really need to do this, to get on the lake with you. We're going to do that. But before we do that, today is the suspense and thriller genre. And it's really I think it's like a very mostly nebulous genre in a way. It's a better descriptor of a film's effect on an audience, really, than an indicator of its style or its substance. And, really the label can be accurately assigned to any movie that keeps us on the edge of our seats, like film noir, psychological horrors, legal dramas, crime procedural dramas, and murder mysteries and things like that. But unlike traditional horror, thrillers often keep us in suspense with the power of suggestion and implication. Right, using every trick in the cinematic playbook to get our hearts racing while withholding overt depictions of what makes the characters anxious. Like one of the things we're going to talk about is Jaws, right, Klint?
Absolutely.
And in that movie, Spielberg, his second film ever, he comes out and he's having a problem with the mechanical sharks, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and he used some tricks to get by with that. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But you play a game with me, Klint?
Oh, 100% yes. I'm ready.
All right. Yes, no, either word brings us the opportunity to learn a little bit more about each week's in-studio guest. I'm going to ask Klint a series of rapid-fire questions that require a yes or no or an either-or response. Goose, ready to play? We'll do a little example here for the folks at home listening.
Sure.
Okay, ready? Bathing trunks or Speedo?
Bathing trunks. Go to prison if I put on a Speedo.
Oh boy. Okay, you can't unsee certain things, right? Okay, Patrick Mahomes or Dan Marino?
That could be Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, meat sticks, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Some controversy with that question. They told me not to use it on the air, Klint. But I say screw it. I'm pretty brave. Last one for you, Goose. Ever been in a coma?
No.
Okay, so
Thank goodness.
I'm driving into work today, Klint, and Frank is playing the music and the songs and everything, and he played a song from America called "Horse with No Name," right? You know the song, and I was actually in a coma. Klint knows this. About going back about 7 months ago in July, I had some problems with diabetes, and I ended up in a coma, and it was pretty short lived. But people all the time, they ask me, like, what is it like to be like in a coma, you know? And all I could tell them is that the entire time on a loop, the song Horse with No Name from America was playing over and over and over again. And everybody that I talked to, right, they seemed like, even though they were between you and me right now, Klint, how close we are to each other, and they felt like they were like a million miles away. Like their talking was very dim and everything. So I want to thank Frank for that, because he sent these memories flooding into it. But I digress, as I always do. Today's category, actually, Yes, No, Either Or, is brought to you by Denise Fuchs and Dream Builders by Design. Contact Dream Builders by Design today to help your business and your personal life reach the next level. Visit her today at dreambuildersbydesign.com. All right, today's category is
Horror thriller movies.
All right. Thank you. The new voice there. You ready to play, Klint?
Wow, where'd you get that voice?
Oh, it's a secret. I'd have to kill you if I told you. All right, you ready?
That should be the new Google direction voice.
That's right. Everyone else, please place your trays in the upright position and prepare.
Ready.
For impact. All right, Klint. Basic Instinct or Falling Down?
Oh, Basic Instinct. Can't unsee her in the chair in the white dress.
Okay. I got to regain my composure here. All right, Silence of the Lambs or Pulp Fiction?
Silence of the Lambs.
Now, this is a new one that you can see now. Carry On or Memento, a classic?
Ooh, Memento.
I kind of agree with you, too, although Carry On was a really, really great movie. 13 Monkeys or Seven?
Seven. Morgan Freeman.
Psycho or Blue Velvet?
Psycho all the way.
Psycho arguably could be, this genre could be named.
And even the new series they did a few years ago with Freddie Highmore. Absolutely.
Absolutely. 8mm or LA Confidential?
LA Confidential.
Okay. Devil's Advocate or Primal Fear?
Primal Fear.
Bird Box or Dog Day Afternoon?
More current, Bird Box.
War of the Worlds, sorry, easy for me to say. War of the Worlds or Contagion?
Contagion.
Blowout or Departed? Young. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jack.
All right.
Departed.
All right. Jaws or The Sixth Sense?
Of course, Jaws. Even though Sixth Sense, you got the I See Dead People.
Well, I want to make you choose between two can't chooses.
Yeah, exactly.
The Shining or Full Metal Jacket?
Ooh, still The Shining.
And last one, Heat or Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park.
Awesome. So we try to basically, what we're trying to do with this game, Klint, is we're trying to get to know you through the choices that you make between films. You know, you're in that zone. You know, you're with your girl, whatever it is, and she's like, "Hey, what do you want to watch? Do you want to watch this or that?" It tells a lot about you, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So thanks for playing that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit, Klint, about the Marina before we go to break here. Tell us what you do and tell us about the Marina a little bit.
So my main focus is sales, new, pre-owned. We do broker sales. Our main lines are Avalon Pontoon, Stingray Speedboat, and a small, tiny pontoon called Pontini. But I'm all over the Marina. In my true designation is sales manager, not necessarily general manager, but everybody sees me there. I'm there all the time. Customers come there. They think I live there because I wave. They're like, you're there all the time. We see you every single time we're here. Yeah, it's the home away from home.
Awesome. All right. So listen, we're going to be right back on FlixPop Radio. We're still here with Klint Green, GM of Greenwood Lake Marina. And on the other side, we'll hear from Allison with the officially reviewed report. We'll also play the Spaziani's Catering Dinner and a Movie line. We'll help you get lucky. It's all coming up after this. We'll be right back.
As a #1 public speaker, Paul Bastante combines entertainment and information in his presentations for all his speaking engagements. Topics may range from quirky Americans to the history of the Oreo cookie, as well as business topics such as Marketing 101 and artificial intelligence. Paul's upbeat personality plus motivational and inspirational speaking engagements are customized. Whether for a business conference or a senior living facility, you can book Paul by visiting paulbastante.com.
St. Anthony Hospital hosts Health Matters every Thursday at 10 a.m., where physicians, specialists, and heads of departments share their expertise with you. Call in or text in because your health does matter, right here on radio worth listening to.
WTBQ. Welcome back to FlixPop Radio. We're still here with Klint Green, GM of the Greenwood Lake Marina. Question for you, Klint. Are your life documents in order?
Ooh, I think that's something I do need some help with to get in order.
Well, listen, everybody, if the worst were to happen, would your family struggle to put the pieces back together, or would they have peace of mind because you planned ahead and called a state attorney, Rebecca Eckert? Rebecca charges a flat rate for wills, advance directives, powers of attorney, revocable trusts, and more. But not only that, she's the absolute best in the business, and your initial consultation, it's always free. Visit her today at rleckert.com, RLECKERT.com. Okay, it's finally time for the officially reviewed segment of the FlixPop Radio program. The officially reviewed segment is delivered by Allison Lucan of Officially Social. And let's get right to it, shall we? Allison, are you there?
I am here. How you doing, Paul?
Good, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I'm doing very, very well.
Say hi to my friend Klint.
Hello, Clint. How you doing?
Good, Allison. How are you?
I'm great. Trying to stay warm. More snow coming, and I'm not happy about it.
I know. Geez, all right. Let's stay on a positive note here. What do you got for us today, Allison?
So, Officially Reviewed is brought to you today by Estate Attorney Rebecca Eckert. And since we are talking thrillers, one of my favorite subject matters, I'm going to just talk about one of my favorite thriller authors, Frida McFadden. And her most popular book is called The Housemaid, which is actually coming very soon to the big screen. I believe they're just wrapping up filming of the movie. And it is part of a series, and if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. Right now I'm reading The Crash, which is her most recent release, which actually people are referring to as a snowbound thriller that will chill you to the bone, which is very appropriate with our northeastern weather right now.
It sure is.
Now, a fun fact about Frida McFadden, actually, which most people don't know, is that Frida McFadden is her pen name. She is actually a doctor, and she uses a pen name because she doesn't want her patients to get freaked out and know her identity, because her books are often extremely, extremely dark. So she likes to hide her identity in that capacity. And she purposely doesn't write with too much profanity or sexy scenes because she wants younger readers to be able to be engaged too. And she really is one of my favorites. Every single one of her books of hers that I've read, and I've read most of them, are really 10 out of 10. Absolutely love them. Highly recommend. And this is Allison Lucan for FlixPop Radio. You can follow me on Instagram at Allison Lucan for more book recommendations.
And so this, Allison, is one of those books where, kind of like a chill night like tonight, you got 1 to 3 to 4 to 5 inches cold of snow for our area, grab it, get under the covers. I mean, this is the type of book we're talking about, yes?
I mean, this is what I'm going to be doing later. I don't know about anybody else.
All right. So listen, what happens here in FlixPop Radio stays here on FlixPop Radio. So feel free and feel confident in that, Allison. I appreciate you so much, and we'll talk to you next week. Okay.
Thanks so much. Talk soon.
Excellent. Thank you. So Klint, thanks so much for being on FlixPop Radio today. I really appreciate it. Every guest who appears on FlixPop Radio receives dinner for two at Monica's Italian Restaurant, 1 Lakeside Avenue, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. It's a really awesome Italian restaurant. Attila owns the place, and he is a good guy, a good dude. Have you been there?
I have been there a few times, Paul.
All right. Well, listen, you're going back, my friend.
Happy to go back.
The food there is totally on point.
Excellent.
Dinner for two's compliments of Monica's Italian Restaurant. Visit Monica's today at monicasrestaurant.net. All right. So back to this interview. Thriller, suspense, your favorite genre? Why is that?
Ooh, that is my favorite genre, because there's so many iconic movies from childhood, early adult, teenage that stand the test of time in the thrillers.
Absolutely.
So it just follows you. And there's ones you go back to and rewatch because they're just iconic. One is Jaws, of course. Yes, sit down, watch Jaws. The music, the feel, without even creating a scene where you see the shark, right? Just the way that puts that emotion into you and keeps you on the edge of the seat. Think of some more like The Fugitive, right? Harrison Ford in that. That was amazing at that point in time. And I grew up north of Chicago, so some of it was filmed in Chicago. So to see those common themes through the movie were amazing. The Village, Secret Window, Interstellar, Bone Collector, Shutter Island. There's some great ones that are now current, but then those ones that are iconic and the ones that are current that were built off of that.
So I feel like when you talk about suspense films, it's kind of like when you look back at them or you think about them, you may not remember. And of course, a lot of them you do remember, like what exactly happened in there. You know, if you're looking at Saw, you remember some of the scenes from it. But it's one of those things that you don't really remember so much what happened as much as you remember how you felt, right? Because I feel like that's how we measure a suspense or thriller movie. Is like, is your heart pumping? Are you on the edge of your seat? Can you not wait for what's going to happen? What about that?
Well, just like Sixth Sense, nobody saw the ending of that coming, right? So when a movie can keep you there, you think you know where it's going to end, but then that suspense does the twist.
Absolutely. And we were talking about Jaws before. The thing about Jaws was that the mechanical sharks wouldn't work. And so, what Spielberg had to do as a workaround was that he had to figure out a way to let viewers know of the impending, threat of the shark coming in. So tell me, how did he do that?
That was with the two tones.
That's right. Do you know what notes they are?
I don't remember the notes, but I know you do, Paul.
E-F. E and F. Dun, 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 dun. Remember, so absolutely. You remember that film for that part of it.
Of course.
And really, like, as a master director like that, the difference between having a movie like Jaws that's a classic and not is the writer, is the director, right? And Spielberg does an unbelievable job with this film, does he not?
He absolutely does. That has even followed me into adulthood and having children. And you play that when you're playing with them in the house and you're like stalking them and you go dun 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 dun, like you're trying to chase them around the house, right? So there's things that follow you from these iconic films because of that feeling and where it puts you that are just there forever.
Absolutely. You hear those two notes. That's all you have to do. And you're automatically flash back to, we're going to need a bigger boat. Which, you know what, when you talk about we're going to need a bigger boat, let's talk about the Marina, because there's a show out there, reality show. By the way, Shelly's not going to be with us today. Shelly has someone in her family passed away.
Yeah, prayers are with her.
Yeah,
absolutely.
My prayers are
and
definitely with my partner and her family there. Shelly, she does the reality rewind with us each week. But there's a reality show out there called Above Deck. And it's like people come and they like rent out a yacht.
Below Deck.
Below Deck, sorry.
Yes. You're getting it confused with us.
Yeah, because you said it before we got on air. But in that show, the ones that I tuned into, the skipper, who is the hired, charter captain of like that boat, and the crew that's on the boat realizes that there are drugs going on while they're on the boat. And then they had to, basically they had to keep everything under wraps, secret. They like pulled back into port without everybody was like, why are we going back there? And then when they got back there, they actually threw the people off the ship. Is this something that happens at Greenwood Lake Marina?
Well, there are stories. There are some of our more seasoned captains that can tell a lot of stories. I myself am used sparingly that way because of the rest of the responsibility with sales and everything at the marina. So, but we do have one of our yachts that is on a play of that called Above Deck, not Below Deck. So we really feel at some point there could be a reality series that's made out of the whole marina and everybody would have a good time. There's some characters at the marina that might even have their own spin-off because of how fun they are at the dock.
Klint, we have the smartest listeners, right? Yeah. Anywhere on radio. So let's bring that back a notch. Let's keep that idea for ourselves.
All right,
we'll talk to your owners over there at the marina and see if we can't bring a show or at least a pilot there. Listen, let's learn a little bit about you. Where'd you grow up? what was your childhood like in terms of the water and stuff? Give us some introspective into you.
Well, we were in a group of 30 people recently, you and I, Paul, and we all stood up and said where we grew up. And it was like, ooh, that person grew up the furthest away. Ooh, that did. I knew once we got to me, grew up north of Chicago. So in a town called Antioch, Illinois. So my mom still lives there, family still around that way. But that town, and where my mom's house is at, her house is not on the lake, but it's on the subdivision. And just short walk in there, you're at the beach. So we moved there when I was 2. My whole summer recollection of any memory is the lake. I remember being on a boat on somebody's lap, learning to drive when I was 4. There's a shout out to the Stevenses, who was a wonderful family that took me on. They had a summer house there. Thanks to them, that blew up my love for power boating. Now, I always loved the water. We had kayaks. We went out fishing. My brother loved fishing. I'm not the fisherman he is. I'm more the pleasure, enjoy the lake, water sports, just go out there and hang out. But we got on the water even when there was ice. I remember making floating barges that we'd put on the ice, and it would drop through the ice and we'd float on the water. And of course they would sink and we'd get wet, but that was all by the shore, right? We had a great time on the water the whole time.
You mentioned with the ice, at FlixPop Radio, every single week before we have our show, I have an interview with the guest and we do fun things. And Klint and we went ice fishing over here at the lake, and we're pulling like walleye out of there and everything, and it was awesome. So I suggest going ice fishing with Klint. But Klint, tell us about some of those other things, because people, when the lake is, they figure it's closed. I mean, we drive now; it's rock solid right here. What are they doing now?
So the last few years, it didn't freeze solid, so everybody didn't get to enjoy the lake in the winter. But right now, you see four-wheelers out there, you see tents with the ice fishermen, you see people just going for a hike with their dog. When it had snow on it, you've got just cross-country skier, just going out and skiing on it. They actually got motorcycle races on the north end as well, where they got studded tires, and there's a group that go out there and race motorcycles out on the lake.
Which is, all that sounds so much fun. And while we were out there, that's what we were seeing quads and everything like is whizzing around us. Tell us how that the lake did with the fires. I mean, I'd just like to know, is like life back to normal? Tell us, give us a little bit of an indication of what that was like when the whole place was burning.
Wow. I was on a boat, took the boat out multiple times, checking how everything was. It is back to normal. Thankfully, no structures were harmed when those fires were there, but it was close. And there were times where they thought they had it contained, and because the ground was so dry, it would actually jump underneath, like burn the roots and come up. But on the lake itself, it was all on the other side from the marinas, so nothing was affected at the marina other than it was engulfed with smoke, and it just looked like the whole mountain was on fire. So I've got video of that, pictures being out there. It was something nobody's ever seen in their lifetime, and so I've got to see it once in my lifetime. And one of the other most amazing things of everybody coming together to try to fight that fire, of all the different fire departments in the area, when those helicopters came down with the big buckets. I have that on video, never seen that as well. So all that effort and everything to put that fire out and to get to see these experiences that, you usually only see on the screen or in pictures.
Was it scary?
There were times where it looked very, very scary. We had to evacuate our owner's daughter and her family from their house because the smoke was right behind their house. And from afar, it looked like the flames were right behind their house. Thankfully, they did have it secured, but there was one point where it's like, everybody's got to get out.
Awesome. So listen, we're going to be back in a little bit. We're going to play the Spaziani's Catering and Food Design Movie Line Contest. We don't have Shelly today. Maybe she'll surprise us. I don't think so. Hopefully she's doing really well. Listen, halftime on FlixPop Radio. We'll be right back.
As a #1 public speaker, Paul Bastante combines entertainment and information in his presentations for all his speaking engagements. Topics may range from quirky Americans to the history of the Oreo cookie, as well as business topics such as Marketing 101 and artificial intelligence. Paul's upbeat personality plus motivational and inspirational speaking engagements are customized. Whether for a business conference or a senior living facility, you can book Paul by visiting paulbastante.com.
Hi, this is John Tesh. Tune in for great music and intelligence for your life on weekdays at 1 p.m. as we assemble the tips, the facts, and the news you need to be happier, healthier, more lovable, and more fun to be around. Radio worth listening to.
We put the intelligence out there. You decide what to do with it.
WTBQ GHT weather. There's a winter weather advisory in effect noon today till 7 a.m. Sunday. This morning, cloudy skies. Cloudy today, snow develops this afternoon. Accumulations 1 to 3 inches by nightfall. Temperatures will get into the upper 20s. Snow will mix with freezing rain tonight, then change to rain overnight. Lows in the upper 20s early with temperatures rising overnight. Sunday, cloudy with periods of rain tapering off the showers in the afternoon. The highs in the lower 40s. Could be a shower Sunday night, otherwise mostly cloudy. I'm meteorologist Jim Rinaldi. WTBQ.
Oh yes, we're still here. Welcome back to FlixPop Radio. Klint Green's still here, but holding you up for quite some time. I couldn't appreciate you more. And actually, for the folks at home, Ryan, the Goose Gossiger, he gave me a really valuable piece of advice when I first started doing this. Goose, I appreciate it to this day, and it finally manifested itself this week when my guest, Richard Moschella, fell ill. He got the flu yesterday at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I get the call, your guest, you don't have one. So, Goose, I appreciate that piece of advice. And he basically is going to be kind of like leaving us in a little bit. Is it getting real now?
It is getting real. Next Saturday is my final show, final day here at TBQ. Gosh. But by the way, Paul, the piece of advice, this is why they pay me the big bucks.
Absolutely.
Here, all right? This is why.
I knew as soon as I heard it. And so I get this call yesterday, and Rich, I'm really sorry that you got the flu. Is that like a HIPAA violation if I talk about that? All right, scratch that from the record. Hit the delay button, Goose, on that. Wait, do we even have a delay button? No? Okay, Goose is shaking his head in there. Okay.
We'll find out later.
We'll find out at some point. But okay, listen. How do you achieve the best social media return on your investment, Klint? Do you know the answer to this?
Ooh. That's with Allison, which we are working with right now.
Absolutely. So how do you do that? It's easy. You call Officially Social. I'd recommend them to help your small and medium-sized business reach the masses via social media anytime. And they'll give your business the proper guidance, and they actually move the needle. Learn more about Officially Social. Visit them on the web at officiallysocial.com. And now, folks, at home, stop the presses. I have somebody on the line, very important, and I would have to say that her appearance today really, really personifies everybody here at WTBQ.com. We answer the bell. It doesn't matter what's happening, okay? It could be the guy who waters the plants. It could be Frank and Taylor. It could be our new producer that's in the control room right now. We strive, okay, to answer the bell here at WTBQ.com, and that's Shelly Williams for the Reality Wrap-Up. Shelly, my friend, my partner, I love you. How are you today?
I love you. Good morning.
How are you, my friend? Is everything going okay?
Everything's going okay. It's life's short, people. Life's short. That's right. My tip for the day.
I agree with you. The reality.
Eat the cake.
The reality wrap-up is eat the cake.
Life
is
short.
What kind of cake, by the way? I like ice cream cake with the chocolate crunchies. Is that you, or yes or yes?
Yes or yes. That's it.
I'll do cheesecake, carrot cake. Yeah, those are the two. All of the above.
They have the carrot cake too at Spaziani's Catering and Food Design.
Yes,
so
they do. I've had their cheesecake, everything. Everything.
Ridiculous. So Reality Wrap is delivered each week at the bottom of the hour by actress and reality TV junkie Shelly Williams. Shelly, fill us in. What's going on in reality TV?
It was a busy week in reality TV. Last week and this is almost like Sweeps premiere week for some of our big guns. As you know, The Voice started last week. I'm really addicted to The Voice, but my prediction holds true. Week 1 has your winner. So if you need to get caught up, make sure you pay special attention to week 1. Another one of my guilty pleasures started this week, The Masked Singer. Paul.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever watched The Masked Singer?
I love this show. This is a great show. It's something I can definitely wish I could binge, but it's actually like a network TV show. But yeah, I love that show. Clint, you like that show? Have you ever seen it?
Oh, absolutely.
It's awesome.
Yes.
I guessed I never guessed the people. And it surprises me because I have a pretty good musical ear. I don't want to be braggy about it, but I can't guess them, which makes me madder as I'm watching the show because I want to guess the people, and I never do. But I got the first one. I was like, I know who that is by the clues, not by the voice.
Okay.
I have not caught up on the Traitors yet this week, so if you watched it, don't tell me.
Spoiler alert, right? No spoiler alert here.
No spoiler alerts, but this week's pretty important in the world of, I think, what is the most original reality TV show ever, Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
right?
Okay, yeah.
So Saturday Night Live just had a music wrap-up. It's a 3-hour rockumentary about all of the musicians that have ever been on Saturday Night Live, from Belushi to Jim Croce to Sinead O'Connor. I don't remember,
Chase.
if you remember her controversial night on Saturday Night Live where she tore up a picture of the Pope.
Oh my gosh.
But it goes through all of those things, and it's great if you didn't catch it. You can catch it on, you can stream it, but on Sunday, they're having the SNL 50th anniversary concert. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's tremendous.
And Beast Games ended. I'm not going to tell you about the very, very end, Paul, because I know you tried to catch up with Beast Games. But I'll tell you that one of the last things that happened came down to a coin toss. Now, the prize was $5 million.
$5 million, yes.
But in the second to last episode, one of the players had the opportunity to step forward, flip a coin, and if it landed on what he chose, the prize pot would double. But if it landed on what he didn't choose, he would be eliminated with 5 people left. What would you do?
I don't know, but that show is a psychological terror for the people who are like on it, because I feel So Shelley, I feel
they're living it.
They're living it, and I feel like in that show, like there's just a lot of self elimination in the show. Like I've never seen that with a reality show before than Mr. Beast. What about that?
I think that I would have been out. I would have sacrificed myself in the very first round for everybody else. So I would be a waste on that show because I would be out in the first round, because in the very first round, there's 1,000 people.
Yes.
And you're in 10 rows of 100, and your row can only stay in if one person in your row of 100 people eliminates himself from the running immediately. So I'd be out.
They stole the Ellen door, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean by that? They stole the Ellen door. Clint, basically with the Ellen show, you got eliminated. They would the floor would open up and you're sunk into a pit of alligators or something. Where they go, Shelley, in Mr. Beast when the floor opens? Like, where do they end up? They don't show that.
It's funny because even the very last contestant, the 999th contestant, gets dropped, and everybody looks down the hole. I would totally do that. But that's pretty much it. We're waiting for the beginning of American Idol and some of the other heavy hitters coming in. I'm sorry I don't watch The Bachelor. That's not for me. So if you're in Bachelor Nation, congratulations. I don't watch that stuff. But I'm gonna get caught up for next week on some of the ones that I know that the listeners love. And Klint, hi. Sorry I didn't say hi.
Oh, hi there, Shelley. How are you? And prayers to you and your family.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And I just want to remind you that this reality wrap-up was brought to you by the fabulous Allison Lucan and Officially Social.
Shelley, thanks so much for being with us today. I appreciate it. It's kind of a somber time for you and your family. I love you. Everybody here at the station loves you, and our listeners love you. And we just want to give you some lift on our wings as you go through this tough time. Okay.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the break. I really needed it.
All right, and tell Dawn that we said hi too. Okay.
I sure will. You two have so much fun. I'll be listening.
All right, you got it.
We have and we will.
See you later.
Have a great day.
You.
All right. Okay, so what's the most popular boat on the lake, Clint?
Pontoon boat.
Tell us what a pontoon boat is for those that don't know.
Well, for the people that want to say it's nothing, it's plywood on tin cans. But there's actually a lot more technology into pontoon boats than plywood and tin cans. That may have been how it started. But you got round aluminum logs and you got a platform on top of it. And from there you build your living room, It's your living room on the water is ultimately where it turns into.
You gave me like a visual, like hanging out in like a can of Campbell's soup as you go floating down the lake, right? And obviously it's not like that. These things are like seriously nice, right?
So you can get ones that are stripped down and with almost nothing on it, or I can build you a $500,000 pontoon boat with two 450 motors on it. Wow. How far do you want to? Where do you want to go?
I don't know. Like one of the things that I want to know is like, where can you go on the lake? Are there ways to get outside of Greenwood Lake and like head out to the ocean, or that we'll never see them again, or no?
That would be amazing, but no, there isn't.
All right.
If you wanted to go down a waterfall, you could go in Pine Cliff Lake, which is over in West Milford, and go down the waterfall and then into Greenwood Lake, but don't advise it. So, but Greenwood Lake is landlocked, half New York, half New Jersey. The border goes right through our building. We're the first or last address in New Jersey, however you want to look at that. Derek Jeter's mansion is right next to what used to be his mansion, is right next to our marina. But people have a great time on our lake. It is a go around the lake, have a good time, then anchor, park, and hang out, group of friends, and just enjoy the lake, the weather, the water.
So Goose and I know of a lake in a town. We won't mention what it is, that you just can't even swim in it because there's, for whatever reason, pollution, this and that and the other. What about Greenwood Lake? Can the residents and people who use the lake, can we swim in the lake?
Absolutely, you can.
And where's the beach at?
So the beach is in Greenwood Lake. You do have to be a resident of Warwick Township, or Greenwood Lake to enjoy that beach. It is a very nice beach, but you got to be a resident. You got to go to the town. You got to, pay to get your badge. But they do have one beach on the lake, but it is private. Now, there is another couple of different hangouts. There's a sandbar. There's another small beach area over by state land that everybody gravitates to who are on the pontoon boats and know about it. So there are places to hang out, even if you're not necessarily, quote unquote, on the beach.
Say you don't have a boat. What else is there to do on the lake that people may overlook, or maybe they just haven't thought about it? Maybe they want to do something with their family, but they don't want to rent a boat?
Well, the first thing, they'd come to me and buy a boat. If you don't have a boat, buy a boat. That's number one. But no, we cater the most to anybody who does not own their own boat. So yes, we have a daily rental where you can come out in season and rent it for a couple hours, half day, full day. We have a boat club, so if you don't want ownership but want more exclusivity in like higher end boats and different types of boats, you can join our boat club. We have the experience where you can charter a vessel with a captain and a first mate. You and up to 30 plus of your best friends can come have a birthday party, bachelorette party, anniversary, and enjoy the lake that way. We also have a water park. On the weekends, we lifeguard it. You can come down, pay, enjoy the lake in our water park. And we have a small beach too. Very small. I wouldn't say it's anything, but it's sand. You can hang there, sun. And some of the more exciting things is that we're going to be opening up an Airbnb on the island as well.
Oh, that's tremendous. And I understand that you can also do an Airbnb like on an actual boat.
And we have two with a yacht. That's correct.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about that real quick.
Well, there's one that's a more small, more just like intimate for a couple. And then there's a bigger yacht where we think we're going to do up to 4 people, maybe 6. Just depends on how they figure that all out. But it's going to be parked somewhere. You would take a boat to that vessel, to that yacht, to your Airbnb. You'd have a boat to enjoy on the lake, but you would be staying in the water, not in the water, but on the water in that vessel, in that yacht.
Tremendous. And the quote that comes to mind is, we're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, I can help you with a bigger boat.
Yes, and that's exactly, Klint can help you with a bigger boat. So listen, that brings me to the dinner and a movie contest. The Spaziani's Catering and Food Design Movie Line Contest is your chance to win dinner and a movie. All you have to do is identify the movie. We'll give you a movie line. If you call us with the correct answer first, you will win dinner for 2 at Spaziani's Catering and Food Design, 1572 Route 23 in Butler, New Jersey. These tickets are for their Friday night feast, which is unbelievable. And when I say unbelievable, Klint, I mean unbelievable. You've been to this, right?
I've enjoyed it. Unbelievable.
Do
you know, yesterday was Valentine's Day.
That's right.
even if we wanted to go there, we couldn't have gone there.
It was sold out.
It was sold out.
It was sold out.
They're killing it. And it's amazing.
Yeah, they are killing it. All right, so you're also going to receive 2 movie gift cards for your enjoyment afterwards at AMC Theaters, either in Monroe or in Wayne, New Jersey, furnished by Denise Fuchs of Dream Builders by Design. Man, do I love that woman. Okay, here is the quote from this famous suspense thriller masterpiece. You know those 8 guys in the fantail launch out there? Well, none of them are going to make it out of the harbor alive. You know those 8 guys in the fantail launch out there? Well, none of them are going to make it out of the harbor alive. Clint, you have a big smile on your face. I think you know what it is.
Can I call in?
You cannot call in. You are ineligible, but you already won a Monica's gift card. So number to call is 845-651-1110. Again, the number 845-651-1110. Can't win by texting. Got to call in. On the other side, we'll get a winner for Dinner and a Movie, and we'll hear from Santiago with the People's Podcast Review. I still have more questions from my in-studio guest, Klint Green, and your calls. Don't go anywhere.
As a #1 public speaker, Paul Bastante combines entertainment and information in his presentations for all his speaking engagements. Topics may range from quirky Americans to the history of the Oreo cookie, as well as business topics such as Marketing 101 and artificial intelligence. Paul's upbeat personality plus motivational and inspirational speaking engagements are customized. Whether for a business conference or a senior living facility, you can book Paul by visiting paulbastante.com.
This is Jeff Berkman, and I invite you to tune in to the Wednesday Morning Roundtable on Radio Worth Listening to, New Jersey and Orange Free Radio. Free to express your opinions every Wednesday at 10 a.m.
WTBQ.
Ooh, love that tune there, Goose. Welcome back to FlixPop Radio, your go-to each Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for movies here on WGHT and WTBQ. Coming right up after FlixPop Radio is the Best of Tom Lovelace Music Experience at 10 a.m. And as always, before our show, each and every week, Zach and Goose and Game Time right here on WGHT. Major Leagues, my friends, Major Leagues. So if you know the answer to the Trivia Line contest, please call us at 845-651-1110 to hit the Friday Night Feast jackpot. I'm going to give you the quote again. It is... You know those 8 guys in the fantail launch out there? Well, none of them are going to make it out of the harbor alive. And while we wait for our listeners to call in with that answer, Clint, what's your favorite type of vacation to take?
Ooh, anything involving and around going out on the water. I work there. I want to go back out on the water at the end of the day, and I want a vacation where there's water. I would like to go to Italy and go through the channels on the gondola or take a speedboat through there. That would be amazing.
And that'd be my favorite vacation too, a European river tour vacation. But every time I try to book one, I'm attacked like Chief Brody on Jaws, you know? So instead, now I call Cardinal Tours in Pompton Lakes. They specialize in European river tours, and they'll plan all of the details, right? They'll also help you with your exclusive resort and group vacation excursions. You can rely on their experience. Trust me, folks. Call Betty Houston today. She's my friend. She's a kind human, and trust me, she will bring you through this process so that you have a great time and nothing is taken for granted. 973-835-0177 to talk with Betty today at Cardinal Tours. Go hit that river cruise. All right, here we go again with the quote. Guys, got to call in. 845-651-1110. You know those 8 guys in the fantail launch out there? Well, none of them are going to make it out of the harbor alive. What absolute classic movie is this line from? All right, so while we wait for that, let's go to the People's Podcast Review. Actually, Santiago, you can call in now if you want to. Let's talk, though, with Klint while we're waiting for that. Klint, let's talk more about the lake. Do people actually request yacht rock while they're on the yachts?
I'm sure it has been done. Not so much with me yet, but, you know, there's usually some very specific ones out there who are media now moguls that are that are requested. There's one performer that's usually over and over and over and over and over, and his music's out there all the time.
Yes, and while we talked about before, we talked about the Saturday Night Live with Shelley. Is that the one name that we didn't mention was Chevy Chase? Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you. Chevy Chase, what band was Chevy Chase in that's really, really closely related to what's called today yacht rock?
Oh, I don't know that one, Paul. You're gonna have to educate me on that one.
So Chevy Chase was actually the first keyboard player ever for Steely Dan.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
Believe it or not.
The things you learn on air.
The things you learn on air, right? There's that. Okay, so we have a phone call. Okay, great. Hey, all right, who we have here? Paul. Who's on the line?
Paul, it's Santiago.
Oh,
Santiago. The People's Podcast.
Santiago, the People's Podcast review.
Welcome, Santiago.
It's from FlixPop Radio. Is reported each week by Santiago. He's a podcaster, engineer, and podcast producer out of A&J Studios in Pompton Plains, New Jersey. And when he does my podcast, he makes my voice sound like red velvet. Don't you, Andrew?
I mean, listen, I'm just putting a little bit more light on what's already shining.
All right.
That's all I'm doing.
Yes. So what you got for us today?
So this week, we're going to go a little bit of a trip into the paranormal. We're going to take a little trip to the Night Owl Podcast. Oh. Now, the podcast is hosted by Stephen Bellew, who had a childhood paranormal experience by himself. He now travels to different businesses and homes, investigating, talking to people, and having them share their experience. You know, the podcast has over 70 episodes, but this is all more kind of like a campfire story. So it really does pull you in when you're sitting over there. And I know that we were talking about beautiful things like trips on the lake and boats around, right?
Oh, absolutely.
When the October hits and sometimes you want to get a little spooky, having one of those tells kind of puts a chill down the spine too.
Ooh, my hairs just stand up on my arm there, Santiago, when you said that.
We still have boats in the water in October. We could do a spooky tale out on the lake at night. Moonlight.
Santiago.
Moonlight spooky tale.
Would you show up for that, Santiago?
I would. A couple campfire tales. Listen, when you have everybody getting together and you have those kind of experiences, it puts a chill, but it's also a beautiful memory. And this is the People's Podcast. And once again, that's Night Owl Podcast. You can listen to that on all major streaming sites. Once again, you guys are doing an amazing show. Paul, Klint, Goose. Make sure you guys have a great weekend.
Thanks, my friend. We'll see you next week. That's Andrew Santiago from the People's Podcast studio, also from A&J Studios in Pompton Plains. So, okay, I'm still here with Klint Green, still waiting for a winner on the Trivia Movie Line contest. The phones are not ringing. Why is that? People, this is not a hard quote. And you know what? Not only is it not a hard quote, but you're going to get about $100 in prizes for getting the right answer. You know those 8 guys in the fantail launch out there? Well, none of them are going to make it out of the harbor alive. For the love of God, okay, who will get the answer to this question?
Who will get that one right?
Who will get it right? Right, exactly. So, okay. Can you water ski at Greenwood Lake?
Oh, 100%, yes.
And do you have a product for this?
Oh, absolutely. So we have multiple boats that we could use if somebody wanted to go out and water ski if they don't want to drive themselves. That's part of our boat club and our Greenwood Lake experience. So, Paul, you ever wake surfed?
I've never wake surfed. Tell us what that is.
You could learn to wake surf, Paul.
Okay.
So that's riding the wake behind a specialty designed boat, which kind of creates your surf wave, where you're then riding a specialty board, almost like a small surfboard, and then you're not tethered to anything. You get up, you let go of the rope, and you're just surfing in the wake.
Wow.
So you could do that. You could wakeboard, you kneeboard, ski, take the kids tubing. We are open to every way of enjoying the lake.
Oh, that's tremendous. I feel like that's one. Is that the thing where you can actually as the boat pulls away, you go up into the air and then in back of the boat, and then sometimes the the string breaks and you float away into
space?
No,
that'd be parasailing. We have not wrapped our head around parasailing.
Okay.
We can. You know what, Paul? You get together with our owner, see if you can make parasailing happen.
All right,
she's up for some adventures, but I don't know if the parasailing is the thing on Greenwood Lake.
Let's get you some brownie points here. Talk about the bosses over there. Talk about their the way that they do business at the Greenwood Lake Marina.
So Greenwood Lake Marina has amazing reputation of taking care of the customers and customer service. And that all it began and ends with our owner, Elena Dykstra. So there's many people that view her as mom, as grandma to their children, as a sister, as their best friend. Anybody that meets her, they're like, she's now my new best friend. And she's all about having a good time and enjoying those groups as well. So it's inviting. We want everybody, and we want to share that passion with the people who come to our marina and want to enjoy the lake.
Are there law enforcement, factions or law enforcement organizations that are out on the lake? How does that work?
So our lake is one of those really special lakes in that, yes, they can be everywhere. Because we are between two states and landlocked, by Coast Guard maritime law, it has to be regulated by the Coast Guard. So there are multiple times during the year that the Coast Guard just shows up and will pull people over and make sure your boats are all legal and you got all the right equipment. Add to that the Coast Guard Auxiliary, the state police, Fish and Game, the local police. Yeah, fortunate or unfortunate, our lake is one of the most enforcement regulated lakes because of just where it's located.
And that's like the thing, like it's just like being on like a highway, right? I mean, you can't be operating a boat and, drinking and under the influence. And,
what happens on the lake stays on the lake.
Well, listen, there's that, and that's tongue in cheek, but like,
yeah, that's true.
On a more like serious note,
yes.
How many times do you ever hear about a disaster like that, something happening where, disaster strikes, right? Because of alcohol or drugs or something like that.
So I used to also live really close to the Delaware River. And so whenever there was something of a disaster, either on the river or here on the lake, it is usually one of two things, or both. Influence of alcohol or related, and or somebody's in the water that doesn't know how to swim without a life jacket, right? So those are the things that usually propel there being a disaster.
Don't do this on the water, folks. Just don't. It's not worth it. Okay, so I have a caller on the line. Caller, who am I speaking with?
John A.
John A. Where are you from, John A?
I'm from New Jersey.
All right. John A. from New Jersey. I appreciate you. Thanks for calling. You have an answer to this, don't say it yet, but you think you know the answer to the Trivia Line contest?
I think I know the answer.
Okay, I'm going to give you the quote again. All right, and then you're going to give me your answer. Okay, you ready to go, John A.?
Go for it.
All right. You know those 8 guys in the fantail launch out there? Well, none of them are going to make it out of the harbor alive. What absolutely classic movie line is this from?
Oh, my God. Wait. Jaws.
Yes, it's Jaws.
Ding,
yes,
ding,
it is.
Awesome.
That is tremendous. First of all, John A., I appreciate you calling in. Congratulations. Dinner and a Movie is sponsored by Spaziani's Catering and Food Design, 1572 Route 23, Butler, New Jersey. You can also visit them.
Oh, my God, I love that place.
Yeah, man, you got to go. You can also visit them on the web at spazianiscatering.net. What radio program gives you the best chance to win dinner and a movie and get lucky?
Yours is, bro. Come on. Awesome.
Here we are.
FlixPop Radio, you're supposed to say, John A.
That's right.
That's right. Hey, man. That's good.
I'm going to give you another chance. Who gives you the best chance to win dinner or a movie?
FlixPop Radio. Come on.
Thanks a lot, John A. Text us in your info and we'll get you these tickets. Okay, buddy? Thanks you so much for calling in. Okay, and let's talk a little bit about the Jaws film. Jaws actually made $412,960 at the box office, including re-releases. This makes it really one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Even when you adjust for inflation, I mean, it's still really up there. The movie was the first one to be shot at sea and on the ocean. off Martha's Vineyard. Listen, we're at the end here, Klint.
Wow, that was fast.
That was fast.
Fast hour.
I'm going to have you back in. We'll have you on the FlixPop Radio blog as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And next week, we'll have Damon Max, horror author. See you next week on FlixPop Radio.